You can follow the collection process to a T, send SMS reminders, make phone calls, send compliance notices, but there's still no movement on the account. You cannot put money in a parent's wallet to help them pay their outstanding school fees. Sure, it would look great on the age analysis, but that's unfortunately not how it works. This video is about helping you make the best decision possible when you've put in all the work, but with no results. The very first action you must take is building a financial profile for the parent. This might sound complicated, but it isn't. Private schools. The best time to assess a parent's financial situation is during the selection process. If you're past that stage, do it once you send out your breach or cancellation letter. Public schools. The best time for you to assess the parent's financial situation is when a parent applies for exemption or when a parent's account is up for the Section 41 or listing notice. The sooner, the better. Just remember, exemption is granted on income alone. Unfortunately, there's no single report you can pull to do this profiling for you. You have to build it yourself. But our criteria will help you get there. The information you need for financial profiling includes proof of all income, at least 3 months bank statements, employment details, a credit or adverse finding report, a list of existing obligations, and whether the parent is under administration or debt review. The information you gather will show you whether you can accept the application, make it conditional, or decline it. Step 2 is the probability to pay assessment and score. The further an account travels down the collection road, the more important it becomes to combine the probability to pay assessment and score with financial profiling. You'll use this route most when negotiating a payment plan or considering write-off or handover. The information you need for the probability to pay includes the age analysis, previous year's payment history and collection actions taken, a credit report if one wasn't obtained during step 1, a detailed list of monthly expenses, a deeds office search and CIPC report. Each data source tells you something about the parent. For example, the credit report provides a score that highlights a risk. The adverse finding report tells you if there are judgments or other defaults against the parent, which means there are other creditors. The age analysis shows if an account is growing consistently and if expenses exceed income, the parent's lifestyle is too expensive. If the property has a second bond, or if the business they own is dormant or deregistered, these are also red flags. Once you have all the information, you can score the parent as high, medium, or low risk to the school. The risk level is the opposite of probability. The lower the risk, the higher the probability of payment, and the higher the risk, the lower the probability of payment. In the shorts notes on page 11, we provide the steps you can take depending on the risk level. Let's say the parent is high risk with a low probability to pay. You'll start with a payment plan, and if they don't pay, you can either list or write off. Very important to understand is when an account goes into arrears, a payment plan with a signed acknowledgement of debt is always the first step, regardless of the probability rating. The rating determines how far the account travels if the plan fails. It is also important to remember that a parent who withholds information at the selection or exemption application stage will not become more transparent when the account falls into arrears. So when should you list a parent with the credit bureau? You can list a parent at any time, but it's best to do so after acceleration of the debt. Just make sure the parent has received the 20 business day notice, the debt has been outstanding for 3 consecutive months, and it hasn't prescribed. For more information, have a look at the decision tree provided on page 13 of the shorts notes. So when is write-off the best option? Write-off can happen due to parents' financial situations, collection history, or a financial consideration. For example, when the parent can only afford R100 per month on 50,000 in capital, it isn't worth the resources to pursue this debt. Pages 14 to 16 of the notes deal with write-off and provide the decision tree for different scenarios. Pages 17 and 18 of the notes deal with handing the account over to your legal team, when to hand over, when not to hand over, and a handover checklist. Most important for private schools is to follow the terms and conditions set out in the breach clause. Remember, however, that handover and cancellation are two different actions. Cancellation ends the agreement, while handover is the process that follows once your internal pre-legal actions are finalized. Public schools, make sure you send the pre-Section 41 and Section 41 notices using the correct method, and wait 3 months after the Section 41 notice before handing over the account. Let's take a look at credit reports. At the end of the day, it is very important to understand how to read a credit report, and we deal with this in the addendum to the notes. There are different components in a credit report, and they highlight different aspects that play a role in the risk level and probability to pay score. If a credit report reflects no warnings, that already is a good sign. That means the parent has no judgments in their name, no adverse accounts, and no late payments noted at the credit bureau. Property owned by the parent can add to a positive score if it isn't heavily bonded. If the parent has no property but is a good paying tenant, that also adds to a good score. For a full breakdown of the components and how to use them when scoring a parent, go to pages 21 and 22 of the shorts notes. Additional information you must take into account, which may not be available on a credit report or may not yet be reported, includes exemption history and previous year's listings and handovers. Here is a quick summary. Step 1. Financial profiling, best for private schools during the selection process and for public schools when parents apply for exemption. Step 2. Probability to pay. Do this if financial profiling highlights a risk or before write-off and handover. Make sure you follow the correct processes and use guidelines and criteria before listing, handover, and write-off. If you don't, you will be inconsistent and you will make decisions without the necessary data to back your decision. I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if you have any uncertainties.